Hey everybody, welcome back to Why Not RV. On this week's episode, we're going to go ahead and change out our RV refrigerator for a residential refrigerator. Remember, if you want to learn more and make less mistakes while RVing, be sure to hit that subscribe button, drop a like and a comment down below. I appreciate it. Thanks for watching. I know some of you guys must be asking, Chris, you just custom ordered this thing. Why didn't you just order it with a residential fridge? Well, I'll tell you why. Number one, the residential fridge that comes with the fifth wheel RVs and majority of RVs is the bottom freezer drawer style, and we're just not a big fan of that. So I knew I was going to be swapping it out for a residential fridge because we did want residential, but I knew that the RV fridge is worth way more than a residential fridge. Residential fridges are like $1,500 to $2,000, $1,500, $2,000. Whereas the RV fridges are like $4,500 to $5,000 for this big 18 cubic foot model. So between that and I figured, okay, we'll try the RV fridge, see how we like it. But for our method of lifestyle, we're not camping in this thing. If you're just camping, it's perfectly fine. But for when we're basically living out of it half the year, we want it to be nice and comfortable. So we're putting in the residential fridge. So I did already start the project without recording. I didn't even turn on my brain. So let me kind of catch you up of what I've done so far. So as you can see, I disconnected my gas fitting and I disconnected my DC electrical. And basically this gas fitting is just a standard nut that attaches to the flange right here on the back of the fridge. So before I disconnected that, I went ahead and ran my stove inside to burn off any propane left in the lines. I had my propane tanks off. I burned the extra propane in the lines, good, and then I went ahead and disconnected this. So now this is disconnected. I'm gonna have to cap this off. We'll show you that process. And my DC wiring came right into here. You can see a positive and negative that went into the board, and I just went ahead and clipped it. I put some electrical tape here on the end of it, so it's nice and good. I'm just gonna stuff that here out of the way for the future, just in case anything's ever needed. Again, this I'm just gonna cap right off, so that's good. And then of course I had to unplug from the regular wall outlet that's back over here, but that's a no-brainer, just unplug it. Now, after that, I went ahead and I had to take out the whole piece that was right here, which is just a bunch of screws that went all the way around it. And I took that off, no big deal. We'll put it back on and put new silicone on it. But I did that so that I can access all these little screws. Okay, there's these little screws basically in the corners up here, along the bottom, and then up over here as well. So I had got all those disconnected, and then let's take you inside and show you what's going on in there. Inside, I know it might seem like I've done a lot, but really all I've done was I took the trim that was up at the top. I literally just popped it off. It just comes out of those little things right there. That's all it is. So I took the trim off, which then revealed these screws, and I went ahead and undid the screws at the top. Same thing with the trim at the bottom. Took the trim off and took all the screws out. And now I've already slid the RV fridge forward a couple inches just to make sure it was all loose and good. I got my little furniture mover in here. We're gonna go ahead and load this onto here so that I can wheel it and get it out of the way, because the only way this fridge goes in and out of this RV is through a window. It does not fit. I measured a couple different times. It does not fit this gap here basically to make the turn out. So we're gonna have to go in and out through a window. So right now we're just gonna get this out, and then we'll show you the window process here in a bit. I literally just had to slide the fridge out carefully onto it, tilt it a little bit more, pull it out, boom, and push the dolly back up. And then by the time I got it all the way out, bam, it's right on the furniture dolly, and I got it rolled out of the way. And now we have our opening for the new fridge. But basically what I'm gonna go ahead and do is all of the venting that was here before for the old fridge is not needed for a residential fridge. So I'm gonna go ahead and go get some insulation just like we have here on the walls. And I'm gonna insulate and close this stuff back off. I'm gonna cap off that gas fitting line. So I'll show you guys that process. Let's make a trip to Home Depot. After a quick trip to Home Depot, they did not have my direct plug. What I wanted was a 3/8 flare plug. They did not have that. So I got a union fitting and a cap, which the union fitting is here, which is basically just a male and male, and then the cap. So I got that all tightened up, so now my gas is capped off. I'm gonna go ahead and turn my propane back on and just check for leaks before I do anything further. But this is basically just gonna sit here. I'm not gonna do anything with it. The new fridge is only gonna come to about here anyway, so it's gonna, you know, be behind it. It's not gonna bother anything. So let's get the gas on, make sure there's no leaks. Now we're good with that. We're gonna go ahead and put our piece cover back on here. I'm gonna first go ahead and take my scraper and scrape off the old silicone, put the piece back on there, get it all screwed in, and then re-silicone it. All right, so I got this back in place. I've not siliconed it yet, obviously, but I just want to show you. I took insulation on this thing and I put a little tape layer because like I said, the new residential fridge does not need to breathe, so I wanted to insulate everything. So I got insulation here behind this side. I got insulation up there, which you can see up through the vents. And like I said, I got insulation on the door. So as you can see, I already got the old fridge out. The new fridge is sitting right next to it. Now what I did to get the old fridge out, originally I was gonna go through the window, which I already removed the window. It's literally just a bunch of screws and then popping the window out. So these RV windows, okay, let me just kind of get in to show you. There's these screws, you see the screws, boom, boom, boom. So, and they're all the way around this whole window. Now, of course, I did have to take the valances off in the top, but again, those are simple, you know, just like a screw down here, a couple screws up there, and the whole thing comes out. And once you get that inner frame off, the window is free. Okay, so you have to be really careful, especially if you have an older RV, because once you have that frame off of there, there's nothing holding that window in there except for whatever sealant. There's no sealant. It's just a foam seal on the outside. So like however hard and crusted that is, if it's real dried up and you take that frame off, your window's just gonna fall right out. So make sure that when you do that, you actually have someone on the outside holding the window pressure back this way when you take that frame off. The door, I did have to take all the steps out because of the mechanism, but because the RV fridge has all the stuff on the back of it, this stuff, you know, so this is my 24 inches is including all this. So the new fridge being the same depth at 24 inches is not going to fit through the door, because on this one at least I have a little bit of an angle here to have some freedom, a little bit of play, and we were able to get it right out the front door. But the new fridge is still gonna have to go in through the window, so we're gonna go ahead and get it loaded up on our equipment lift. I'm gonna lift it up and go right inside. So this is the process of taking the window down. I got that equipment lift basically right up next to the window. I loaded the window onto it. I held it while then I had my girlfriend outside start to crank it and lower it down. With the window out of the way, I was able to go ahead and get the fridge loaded onto that equipment lift, and I had a friend help me hold up the front of it just for some leverage while my girlfriend wheeled up the back end. And then we just kind of carefully lined everything up, started to shimmy it and get it up into the window and start to get it through. Once we got about halfway in, I went inside the RV to catch it on the inside, and again just to keep that leverage, and now we're inside the fridge, or inside the RV. So once we got the fridge inside the RV, I really just had to kind of do that reverse situation, just kind of wheel it over here, get it tucked into the cubby, and let me show you how I mounted it to secure it. Down here at the bottom of the RV, or excuse me, at the bottom of the fridge on the underside, I got a screw. You can kind of see one right there at an angle. Excuse me, Bandit. And another one right there at the same angle. Now, out here on the back side, I did a similar type of thing where I basically just found a couple spots in the back of the fridge. And of course, every residential fridge is gonna be different, so not really gonna show you, but I basically just found a couple spots where I can get a couple screws in to the bottom just to hold it right in place. You know, it doesn't need much. The fridge is pretty heavy. It shouldn't really go anywhere, but you know, the RV is moving side to side. You just want something to keep it secure and keep it in place. So I got some screws in the back, the screws in the front. And then, like I said, with this rear cover, because I really don't need to access it much, I actually added a couple of screws to it just to keep it nice and watertight, because sometimes these are just a little bit loose. But that's just something a little bit extra that I did. You don't really need to do that. And of course, the 120 plug is already back here from the old fridge. So that was it. Now, I've had this fridge set up for 5 months. This was done in February, and it is now July. And I got it, I've had it in there for, like I said, about 5 months now. Absolutely love it. I mean, what a difference it has made, especially with power consumption. The RV the RV type fridge on electric only, 120 electric, was pulling about 600 watts all day long, 24/7, 365, 600 watts. It was just freaking insane. Unless you get in a really cool environment, it's going to run all day long. And so that's just horribly inefficient for energy, and for my solar, it's just sucking up a lot of the juice. So now with this new fridge, I don't ever even realize when it's on. I mean, I've tried to catch it when it does kick on. Might pull a couple hundred watts, but it's nothing. It's so extremely minimal. I absolutely love that fridge. I will put a link in the description to where I bought it at Home Depot. But this kind of applies for any residential fridge you're trying to do, swapping from a RV gas and electric fridge to a residential fridge. Pretty, it's not necessarily a simple process. It did take a little bit of effort, but it's really not that difficult either. This video should be a pretty good guide. So I hope you guys learned something. If you have any questions, make sure to drop them in the comments below. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe. We'll see you next time. Thanks for watching Why Not RV. Bye.